To get started. Hi, everybody. Laura, you want to start us off and let us know where you are and what you're doing?
I sure do. Hey, everybody. This is Laura Bott, and I am in Rico's coffee shop, bar, grill, card shop, book shop. It's quite an emporium in the more historic part of Colorado Springs, Colorado. I've been in George Friday and I have been in a lot of places in Colorado this week. And we're in this space we're in a little meetup situation, trying to meet people and tell them about Move to Amend and get them involved with the growing affiliate here. And so thank you for tuning in. Remember, this is the Move to Amend report, the space where you can learn about what's going down in the movement to amend the U.S. Constitution and legalize democracy. I'm your host, Laura Bonham, Move to Amend National Board member, and I'm here with Caitlin Saposi-Belknap, our National Director. We really encourage your participation as we go along, so if you have any questions for the national team, make a comment during the live stream, and we'll answer your question in real time.
Hey, everybody. We're starting to get the hang of this Facebook Live thing. We've been doing a couple months worth of reports, and we're continuing to welcome any suggestions that you have for improvement. So please let us know how it's working for you, and we hope you like this format. So how's Laura? As Laura said, she's in Colorado with our fellow board member, George Friday, and they're barnstorming. That's what we call our speaking tours through the state. How's it going, Laura? How are you doing, and where have you been, and where do you still have to go?
We're about halfway through our trip, and first of all, it's still springtime in the Rockies, so the weather can be very unsettled, and we've encountered a variety of it, and we're worried that it's going to be snowing this weekend, but whatever, we'll deal with it as it goes along. Everywhere we've been has been great. We started out in Fruita, which is near Grand Junction, the Grand Valley, they call it, and that was a really fascinating place to be. What's going on down there? There's a real coalition of justice activist groups growing there, and the Move to Amend affiliate is right in the middle of it, and we had a great event on a day where there were like a half a dozen events going on in town. So 50% of the people who showed up were new to Move to Amend. We did a great job gathering their names and on our donations as well group. So thanks to Fruita and Grand Junction and the Grand Valley for turning out. We managed to do a little tour through a winery there, so it's great to see organic farming and small farms and wineries growing in that area as well. We moved on and we encouraged some winemakers to get it around our table. We need that agricultural voice to fight corporate rule. We moved on to Denver last night. Beautiful experience at the Denver Move to Amend meeting at the Unitarian Church, right downtown Denver. Busy night there, but we had a great turnout, and again, happy audience, new to Move to Amend. So there were lots of questions and answers and distribution of materials and talking. And as always, Denver's been with us for a long time. They're continuing to grow, continuing to expand. They were interested in building that statewide network, which is getting a lot of questions about the statewide network, so that's a good thing. Today, Colorado Springs, it's lovely to be here. And tomorrow we head for Pueblo, and then back north again up to Boulder and Fort Collins. So keep checking the Facebook page for the exact times and places. But it's all been very great. We're enjoying Colorado, enjoying meeting the people here. The really positive attitudes about working to reclaim, to transform our democracy.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks to you and George for traveling all around the great state of Colorado. And maybe Keon is posting comments as we go, so he'll let us know about your questions. And then also we'll be posting supplemental information to anything we reference. If we're referencing a page on our site, you can look for the link in the comments. And so maybe if you could post movetoamend.org/Colorado, that's where the events are posted, and so folks can find out where to meet up with Laura and George if you are in Colorado. So let's dive into the report, Laura. Oh, go ahead. No, all right.
One more thing,
yes.
You know, it's kind of in studying about the populists at the turn of the last century, there was a lot of activity through this area of the country, and barnstorming tours were huge. So we're not exactly on a railroad car, but I'm connecting to that pioneer spirit of the original populists who struggled so hard to make democracy happen in this country as well. So I just wanted to add that in.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for that context. A lot of people don't understand what we mean when we say barnstorming. They're picturing like circuses or something. But the original barnstormers were the populists, and they had traveling speakers, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them traveling all around the West and the rest of the country too. So that's the spirit in which we're using the term barnstorming. So let's dive into our report and talk about what happened in April. First thing, I want to put a shout out and welcome to the newest member of our national team, Lydia, who has joined us just a week ago as our new development coordinator. So she lives in the DC area, but we have folks all over the country. And so she'll be working with us, focusing on fundraising, which we're really excited to add her to our team. And Laura, you might not have even heard this yet, but we're up to 37 co-sponsors. We just added a new one yesterday. So, yay! Maybe we won't read the whole list, but maybe Keon can post the list because it's long. But we can read off the folks who have been added since our last call. Laura, do you want to start off? You want to read them? I don't want to take up all. They're down at the bottom of our script there in red.
We would like to thank Tim Waltz of Minnesota, Ron Kind of Wisconsin, Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, Peter Welch of Vermont, Elijah Cummings of Maryland, and Susan Delbean of Washington State. And of course, we want to thank our original sponsor, Rick Nolan, for Minnesota District 8.
Awesome. Yeah. And Susan from Washington District 1 just came on yesterday. So props to the folks in Washington who have been trying to get all of their representatives on board, following up on their ballot initiative that they won in November. And we just want to, as we're giving shout outs to those who have come on and our friends who are in Congress, we also want to kind of name some folks who are dragging, who really need to get the heat turned on. So Ed Perlmutter, right there in Colorado. He was a co-sponsor in the last Congress. Every single time Congress has a new Congress, we need to have our amendment reintroduced and all the co-sponsors need to come back on. And somehow or other, Ed has fallen off, and I think he might not realize it. So if you live in Colorado District 7, give a call to Ed and let his staff know that it's time for him to come back. Stop dragging your feet. And Marcy Captor, same deal in Ohio, District 9. She was a co-sponsor last time, and somehow or other she's not back with us. Mark Dilsalnier from California and Judy Chu from California as well. That's Mark's in California District 11 and Judy Chu is District 27. So those four should really get with the program and get here with us. And to remind everybody too that our goal for 2017 was 35 co-sponsors. So we're at 37 now, and we're just chugging away to get to our goal for 2018 early if we can, which is 45. So help us get there. If your representative isn't in the list that Keon posted, then that means they're not a co-sponsor yet. And if you go to movetoamend.org/amendment, you can see action where you can send them an email and then give them a call and let them know that they need to co-sponsor House Joint Resolution 48.
And while I'm in Colorado, of course, telling us last night about some others here that are really worthy of pressure if you're in Colorado. That's Jared Polis. I think it's Susan, is it D-G-T-T-E, Susan, something like that. You name those two and a couple of others. We'll be posting that information online, too.
Great. Yeah, there's a whole, anybody who, I mean, any representative is fair game. We don't care, Democrat, Republican, we want you to pressure them. They need to hear about us. and they need to know that they need to join the movement to amend, like most Americans, and like the majority of their constituents, no matter where they live. You can safely say that that's true. So let's get them. And then we also, in April, had our spring national team meeting in Sacramento. That's when all of our board and staff come together in person, and we have our meeting for a few days where we're setting our agenda, checking in on how we're doing. Laura, do you want to give an update on some of the highlights from that board and staff meeting?
Well, I sure do, because it was a great meeting. It was really forward thinking, and it was, considering everything that's going around us, we were in high spirits and really looking forward to taking the bull by the horns. So, and we were inspired by all the many affiliate groups who have actually completed not surprisingly, let me put it that way, who have not surprisingly completed their movement education program and are developing their action plans. This is exactly the kind of forward thinking and strategizing
Hi,
that
George.
we need to do. This is George.
George is a member of our board, and she normally doesn't talk like that.
No, she doesn't normally.
She's one of our co-founders, actually.
So that's really wonderful. We continue to be I'm sorry, I'm just going to brag. Move to Amend continues to be on the cutting edge of grassroots organizing for, in our campaign to legalize democracy. And part of that is the movement education program. And it's so great that so many affiliate groups are finishing up that education and going on to help their new members come up to speed. In addition, for those who have been with Move to Amend for a while, you would know that the movement education program actually started with the national team. We all did the movement education program and went through that kind of thing, and then we developed that out for our organizers. And now we're moving on, and that was about centralizing race and learning about white privilege and that type of thing. Now the national team is starting our gender justice study. And we're really into that, going through that training, and we're learning a lot, and we're working together, and so that we can model that behavior. And with luck, that will be attached to movement education programs as well. Other great news: in the final stages of creating a state chapter accreditation process. We have who's in that? We're in the final stages of creating the state chapter accreditation process, which means these statewide networks that are growing will eventually actually become full-fledged state chapters, giving them more voice in Move to Amend and the decision-making process. And we have our more barnstorming coming up: California, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Arizona. New and potential partners are SURJ, Backbone Campaign, United We Dream, and some video partnerships. So we have a lot coming up that we're really, really excited about. Not to mention the Democracy Convention, so you tell them about that.
Well, I left the Democracy Convention off because we're actually going to talk about it later in its own part. Yeah, we had 3 days of meetings, so we covered a lot of ground. And I hope Keelan can post the movement education program link so that folks can learn about that if you want. And if you're not part of an affiliate, you can get those details. So let's see, what else do we have going on in April? We launched our Pledge to Amend campaign. That's a campaign we do every election. So this year is, an odd year. We don't have federal election this year, but we do have a handful of states that have special elections, and then we also have municipal elections all over the country: cities, special districts, counties. And so this is a campaign to target everyone running for office and encourage them to take our Pledge to Amend, which is a pledge to use their office, whatever it is, to support the amendment, maybe through local resolutions or just their personal endorsement as a leader in their community, or as a co-sponsor if they're in Congress. And so movetoamend.org/pledge-amend is where folks can get details about that. And if you have an election in your community, then please approach everyone running for office and ask them to take the pledge. The people who are in local office now are most likely to be state representatives in the future. State representatives are the ones who are most likely to run for Congress. It doesn't always work that way, but certainly we want anyone who is trying to represent the public to have a clear position on this issue, to name where they stand, so that the public can take that into account when considering whether to vote for them and whether to trust them with the reins of lawmaking. And so that is Pledge to Amend, and we're in the process of sending out emails and letters to candidates all over the country, but you can help us out too by doing that in your local community. And if you go to the page, there's all kinds of resources and materials that you can use. You can go to candidate forums, you can just send them letters, you can give them a call at their campaign headquarters, and we give you all the info that you would need to get started. So head there. And then we've got a couple questions, and maybe we could pause to cover those so that folks who have taken the time to ask us know that we're listening. So looks like we have a question from Richard about, is anything being done to try to network with the democracy, it says of all, I think you mean the Democracy for All amendment, and to work out the differences in the wording. So the Democracy for All amendment is the name of the amendment that would simply overturn Citizens United. It just says that Congress has the authority to regulate campaign spending, and that's all that it would do. So from our perspective, we don't support that amendment because that doesn't go far enough. We need to use this opportunity of an amendment momentum that doesn't come very often to push for not just undoing Citizens United, but actually dismantling the two doctrines that made Citizens United possible. The idea that corporations have constitutional rights and the idea that money is speech. Both were invented by the Supreme Court, both illegitimately invented by the Supreme Court. And so if we just overturn Citizens United, all we're doing is going back to 2009 before Citizens United. And I haven't spoken to a single person in all these years who thinks that our democracy was working, that our political process was functioning back in 2009. And so we need to make sure that we're actually solving the problem, not merely sticking a small Band-Aid on top of it. So that's our perspective. We definitely have been in a lot of conversation over the years with the folks behind the Democracy for All amendment, some of the other organizations like Public Citizen, that's the amendment they support, or Common Cause. So we talk to them very regularly and have really made our position clear and have tried to help them understand why it doesn't go far enough. We're frankly just still not in agreement, but we will definitely continue to have those conversations. We have found that pretty much everyone from kind of the public and especially the grassroots activists who work on this issue really do understand that we need to do more than just overturn Citizens United, that wouldn't do enough. And so we have a lot of support from a lot of the bases of these other organizations that haven't yet really taken as strong a position as is needed on corporate constitutional rights in particular. And so we continue to keep that door open. We continue to be friendly about it. But at the end of the day, we've also pledged to our supporters that you will never find Move to Amend's name on any campaign or amendment language that doesn't address both of those two doctrines, because that's what's needed. And it's our belief that you only get what you need by demanding it, not by making concessions, kind of, especially before you even really get to the fight. So that's kind of our role right now, is to make clear that that's the solution, and anything less than that really isn't a good enough solution. We deserve better. So I don't know if you have anything to add on all that, Laura, but that's my answer for Richard.
No, I think you've covered it, Caitlin. Let's take the question from Stephen Farish. Why is it that states cannot inject language when they charter corporations that prevents corporations from assuming constitutional rights? Sort of a preemptive, you are not a person clause.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good question. It's a really good question. Well, the reason why we can't do that is because, according to the Supreme Court, that would be unconstitutional, and we would be violating the rights of corporations. But having said that, I think that that is a great strategy to potentially employ as we grow further down the road, to create what's called legally a crisis of jurisdiction, where we basically are calling the question on the Supreme Court and saying, we don't really believe you had authority to give corporations constitutional rights. So we're going to, as a state, basically act in civil disobedience against your ruling and ignore you. And here, say, in Colorado, where Laura is, where we've passed a ballot initiative, we actually are going to write into our corporate charters, for any corporation chartered here, that they don't have constitutional rights. Or maybe we'll even put into our state constitution similar language to the We the People Amendment. And that creates that crisis of jurisdiction that we see employed all the time. Colorado is one of the states that has legalized marijuana, but that's against the law, according to the federal government. So it begs the question, who has authority to define whatever area we're talking about? A right to die, a right for suicide is another issue that has passed in some states, but is against the law federally. Rights for gay marriage, or amendments against gay marriage. So it can kind of go in either direction. There's no, progressive or conservative necessarily way to use this. This is just a element of our federalist system that we have. And if states don't want to obey the Supreme Court, then they could take action to basically ignore this false idea that the court has put out there and put forward another one and make their corporations comply. A lot of corporations are not chartered in a lot of states at this point. The ones that use corporate constitutional rights are mostly chartered in Delaware. So if we really wanted to be strategic, we'd be focusing on a state like that actually has like a lot of the big banks and credit card companies and multinational corporations chartered there. But that's certainly a tactic that we've talked about. But until the Supreme Court is overturned through our own constitutional amendment, we would have to build up the political will in these states to basically be willing to do civil disobedience against the Supreme Court. Great question, Stephen.
You're right, it was a great question.
Yeah. So I don't see any more yet, but if others have questions, please post them and Keon will let us know. And then let's keep going, Laura, on the report from April. I sort of lost my place here. Yeah, We the People Listen. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, We the People Listen campaign has relaunched, actually. We did this, 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Really a very successful little effort. People enjoyed this. It was so much fun. This is like a canvas, except you're not asking anybody for something. You're there to tell them, you're there to listen. And when people know that you're listening, can they really tell you a lot about how they feel and about how corporate rules impact them in their community? And that's what the We the People Listen campaign is about. The first support call is coming up May 17th. So if you're participating, please join us for that call to check in about how it's going and get support and tips from others who are participating too. And it's not too late to join in. Visit movetoamend.org/listen to get all the details about the We the People Listen campaign.
Awesome. And we have continued to have folks going to town hall meetings that are being held. Congress was just on recess, so there were a number of town halls that they held in the last couple weeks. So if you want to help Move to Amend, one of the big ways that you could do that is attending a town hall meeting whenever your representative is in the neighborhood and asking them publicly what their position is on the We the People Amendment and if they will co-sponsor House Joint Resolution 48. If they're in the House and if they're in the Senate, then we need them to introduce for the first time a companion bill to House Joint Resolution 48. So Keon's going to post some links to a website where you can go to find out when there will be town meetings near you, and also bird dogging resources. Bird dogging is when you're basically, on the heels of some lawmaker or leader kind of continuously asking them and pestering them about an issue so they feel like they can't dodge you. So we encourage folks to bird dog our representatives at these town meetings and make sure that they know that we're here and we need to know what their position is and they need to follow through. And that's part of why we've had so many co-sponsors come on this year, is because of going to town hall meetings and really getting them on record in front of a big audience. And so it's a great way to move somebody along who maybe is just avoiding the question. They can't really squirm out of the way when there's 200 people watching them. So please go to any town meetings near you and put them on the hook.
And hey, a big shout out to Ohio Move to Amend for holding a great state meeting, including a keynote from Dennis Kucinich. Way to go, Ohio. See you in October, I think.
Yeah.
I'll be there for Barnstorming.
And let's see, another shout out to Cleveland Move to Amend, and other folks in Ohio. They're holding their first Democracy Day May 8th. And what that is last year, 9,000 signatures were collected by our volunteers in the Cleveland area on a citizens initiative petition calling on the Cleveland City Council to urge Congress to pass the We the People Amendment, making clear that corporations don't have constitutional rights and that money is not free speech. And the initiative also called for the City Council to sponsor an every other year public hearing to examine the impact on their neighborhood, city, state, and nation of political influence by corporate entities and big money. So their city council passed that ordinance with these provisions in December. And so their first Democracy Day, where the city council is responsible for creating a forum for that conversation to happen in Cleveland, is May 8th. So everybody in Cleveland, and if you're anywhere in Ohio, you're welcome to attend that Democracy Day. So shout out and props to the folks at Cleveland Move to Amend for getting that done.
And, the weekend was busy in Colorado, just like it was everywhere else, because many of our affiliates were marching with thousands and thousands of people at the Marches for Science across the country. We were tabling, marching, supporting. Hey, Santa Clara moved to amend. Sacramento moved to amend. Kane County, Illinois moved to amend. Los Angeles moved to amend. Of course, all the Colorado ones were out there this weekend, and everybody else. Great job getting out and resisting. Way to go.
And if you want to start a group in your area, if there's not a Move to Amend group near you, the best thing to do is start one up. So if you go to movetoamend.org/start group or movetoamend.org/affiliate, you can find all the details that you need to get started. We'll help you get started. There's a lot of information. We can put you in touch with others in the area who have indicated that they're interested in Move to Amend too, so you don't have to go it alone. And the first step is just having a meeting that could be in your living room, or maybe your church community meeting room, or a library meeting room. We can help you figure out where, if you're not sure, if you've never done anything like this before, then that's okay. There are many affiliates that are run by folks who have never done anything like this before. And we are a grassroots campaign, so the main way that folks get involved with Move to Amend is through local affiliate groups. And if there's not a group near you, then we'll help you get one started. So don't hesitate to be in touch, and check out those links that Keon's going to post so that you can get underway.
And then April 29th, People's Climate Mobilization is coming up. And we'll be there like we always have been. Check them out online too. peoplesclimate.org, April 29th.
All right, so now we're moving into what's coming up, and May 10th is the, for lack of a better word, anniversary of the first Supreme Court decision where corporations were able to get their, I almost don't want to say this because it personalizes them, but their foot in the door to the Constitution way back in 1886. So we have been holding events on this date pretty much every year, because a lot of people think that corporate persons were born with Citizens United, but that's actually not true. Citizens United wouldn't be possible if there weren't a ton of cases that come before it where the Supreme Court has been expanding corporate constitutional rights for over 100 years. So May 10th is that anniversary, and we'll be doing several things to promote the importance of this case and why the We the People Amendment is needed to undo this tragedy that was created by the Supreme Court going back 131 years. So the first thing is that May 10th is our next Take Action webinar. And the topic is how to get your representative to co-sponsor the We the People Amendment. So Keon will post the link so you can join, and we'll be sharing stories from other folks, from our local volunteers who sometimes it took them more than a year, but the process and different case studies of what different things have been tried to bring the number of co-sponsors up to 37 so that folks can replicate some of the things that have worked. And we'll also be launching on that day, May 10th, our Spring Sustainer Drive. So we'll be recruiting new folks to join us as monthly donors with a campaign called #IMoveToAmend. And participating will give you a chance to win a signed copy of our strategic plan by all the authors and one of each of our stamps that we use to stamp money and we use to stamp all of our outgoing mail. Keon will post a link so you can check out those stamps, and everybody who participates in the campaign will be entered into a drawing, and then we'll pull a name, and the grand prize winner will win those things. And so stay tuned for how you can participate in the I Move to Amend campaign. And then lastly, on May 10th, we're really excited about our ongoing partnership with the national independent news network Free Speech TV. They'll be screening our mini documentary, Legalized Democracy, on May 10th. So if you want to watch the film or find screening times, you can visit freespeech.org. And if you're a satellite or cable subscriber, you can watch Free Speech TV on DirecTV. And Keon will post the details of what channels you can find that on, and we'll be sending emails to our list as well. So this is a good moment to say, if you're not getting our emails and if you don't get our updates that we send every week or so, please sign up. You can go to movetoamend.org/motion, and that will sign the petition, and it will also get you plugged in so that you can get all the news about these events as they happen. But there'll be a bunch of things happening on May 10th. And we hope you'll join us here on social media, because a lot of it will be happening on Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead, Laura.
And even if you've seen the documentary before, it's holding up really well. Please tune in, because ratings count. And Free Speech TV is an organization that we'd like to be working more closely with. So support Move to Amend and Free Speech TV at the same time by tuning in, even if you've already seen it.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. You want to talk about the Democracy Convention, Laura? You mentioned it before. Now we're back to that spot.
Well, because I'm so excited about the Democracy Convention. I can't wait to get to Minnesota, even though I know it's going to be hot and humid. There's 9 conferences under one umbrella, and we are Move to Amend is a major sponsor of this event with other democracy organizations, and it is going to be a place where movement building is going to be happening. So this isn't a place where people are going to resist. This is a place where people are going to take the offense and build what we need to get rid of corporate rule and reclaim our democracy. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I've never been there before. And everybody can find out about that online, democracyconvention.org. Key, and I'll post that up too.
And I think in your enthusiasm, you didn't mention that it is in August 2nd through 6th, in Minneapolis. It's like the convention of all conventions, all conferences under one roof. It'll be really exciting, and we will see you there if you come. And let's see what else. Our deadline to apply for our fall internship is coming up next month, May 19th. We have openings for communications interns and development interns and organizing interns and law and research interns and legislative/lobbying interns. The internship runs July 17th through December 20th. And we have spots for on-site interns and telecommute interns. We do pay our interns a stipend, and we always have an awesome crew, so you're getting to work with other amazing people from all over the country. And we're kind of unique. Most of the time our interns are folks who are new college graduates, but sometimes we have folks who are retired, who are looking to get back involved and maybe learn some new skills with organizing, or put into practice things that you already know. And so the internship is open to everyone, and movetoamend.org/internships is where you can go to get the application, or if you know somebody who might be interested, please share the link. We'd love to have another wonderful pool of interns join us. Our interns are not the kind of interns who just like get coffee and make copies for us at all. Our interns are a core part of our organization, and they really learn a lot about what it means to run a grassroots campaign like Move to Amend.
And a lot of these interns go on to stay with Move to Amend, which is really a wonderful thing and a wonderful program. So, Caitlin, you'll be barnstorming yourself pretty soon.
Yeah, in early June, I will be in the DC area. We'll be doing some lobbying meetings there, but also doing some speaking in the Mid-Atlantic area near DC. So we're putting together the details now. But if you check our website, movetoamend.org/barnstorming, that's where you can see info about that, or any future events as well. So I would love to see you. If you're anywhere near there, if you have friends who are near there, then let them know that I'll be coming to town, not next month, but the month after.
And August is We the People Lobby Month, and it seems like August is pretty far away, but it's a good, mark it in your calendars now so you don't plan a vacation over your opportunity to... Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. That was Keon talking to me. Don't ignore me.
So don't plan a vacation when you're supposed to be lobbying. Congress is having their August recess. They'll be spending the month at home in district, and we'll be setting up visits to lobby them to join the movement to amend by co-sponsoring the We the People Amendment. So please set yourself a block of time in August to help us with that really important task.
Awesome. So we're coming up on the end of our report. That's everything that happened in April and some of the stuff that's coming up in May. So if anybody has any other questions, now would be a good time to make sure to post them so that Keon can be sure to let us know. I do see that Stephen posted a follow-up. I like your previous answer about creating a crisis of jurisdiction, perhaps by passing a revision to the corporate charter process. Would that be a likely next step? You know what, actually, Stephen, the charter process varies from state to state. So there might be some states where this isn't the case, but actually right now, as far as I'm aware, every state has the authority to change its charter process itself. And like I said, they're not supposed to do anything that's unconstitutional, but we think that it's highly up for debate whether corporations have constitutional rights, and that shouldn't be unconstitutional to make clear. But I don't know that there's necessarily any real revision to the chartering process. What would be needed is an attorney general in most states. Sometimes it's the Secretary of State. That's who's responsible. Whichever state you live in, whether it's your Secretary of State or your Attorney General, is responsible for chartering corporations. And so that person or that office would need to be willing to sometimes it's actually even just enforcing the chartering process that already exists. There might be some good language already that is more clear about limitations on corporations that are not being utilized, or corporations that break the law being dechartered or having their charter revoked. That could also be a piece that really there's not the political will in a lot of those offices right now, but if we build the movement and the momentum and the pressure, that could be discovered, or we could elect new people who have that agenda. And then, and if they wanted to then further expand, then that would probably be something that would need to be in conjunction with both the legislature of the state and, again, the Secretary of State or the Attorney General. So if you want to talk about that with us more, you can contact us. That's not a strategy that's in our strategic plan per se. What we do have in our strategic plan is amending some state constitutions on the way to amending the federal constitution. But that's a bit down the road because those states will be immediately sued and potentially have to face a Supreme Court, or lowercase decision. And so we want to make sure that they have enough momentum and energy as part of our larger movement to support any state that's willing to stand up in that way. So they're not just on their own. So it's not something you want to do before you've got kind of the political capacity for it. But if you want to talk about it more, that's a great thing to engage with us on. And we'll tell you at the end how to contact our office for follow-up questions.
So, Torres, we have 431,000 signatures on our motion to amend petition. And Caitlin, getting back to Stephen, he was asking that after a state passes a resolution, what are the next steps after that? And has Oregon passed a statewide resolution?
Oregon has not passed a ballot initiative resolution. They do have language in their state legislature, I believe, that has come up a few different times, but is not as strong and good as it could be. So after a state passes a resolution, though, the next step is to get all of the representatives to co-sign and become co-sponsors of the amendment, basically saying, our state has spoken, federal representatives. Now you need to respond, those of you who represent our state. And then there's a lot of educational work also that still has to happen. As far as we're concerned, in a lot of ways, we're still at the education stage of building a movement. So participating in campaigns like We the People Listen or Pledge to Amend, or just holding public forums and events to bring in more people and grow the numbers. So all that can still happen after a state passes a resolution as well. Basically, and the state needs to be gotten ready to ratify. So when Congress does pass the amendment and the states have to ratify it, we need those states to be prepared, educated, organized. And so that momentum needs to be kept up from the moment that they say, yeah, we want to see it happen and we will do our part to actually make it happen in a binding way. So those are all the sorts of things that our affiliates are doing in states where resolutions have already passed.
We've had some questions about celebrities and sports figures that endorse our movement, and I could think of a few offhand. Jim Hightower, Tom Hartman, Naomi Klein.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I'm going to blank on his name. Will Ferrell is not who I'm blanking on, but he is helped hold a house party supporting Move to Amend some years back. So Will Ferrell and Neil Young, yep. And Michelle Schacht. And also, the person whose name I'm blanking on is the guy who directs and produces all of most of Will Ferrell's films. Adam McKay, yeah, thank you. So Adam McKay actually was the one who initiated that house party. So he and Will are both fans of Move to Amend and supporters of Move to Amend. I'm trying to think of who else.
Dennis Traynor and Lee Camp and Eleanor Goldberger. And did I get their name wrong?
Goldfarb, right?
Michael
Goldfarb. No. We're talking about Eleanor. Goldfield. Oh, shoot. Something gold. Sorry, Eleanor.
But the thing is, I can't think of any sports figures, which doesn't...
Yeah.
So Jeff and Curtis, we need your help with those sports figures.
Yeah, I can't think of any sports figures either. And this is an area where, honestly, we haven't put a lot of energy because we've been doing more of the grassroots organizing work. So if folks are fans of any celebrity in particular that you think would be a good fit for a supporter, then encourage you to contact them as a fan and a supporter. And it can't hurt. And we'll continue to work on that as well. But it's always the thing that kind of falls through the cracks. So a lot of the folks that we have are people who have actually come to us. We sort of prescribe more to the movement theory of change rather than the big man theory of change, where like if you just get a famous, important person to support you, you make change. But we actually kind of believe more in the, faceless, nameless masses who are actually the ones who actually get everything done. So that's who we are, and that's who we know. So that's who we have brought on board so far.
So I want to take this next question because it's are there any plans for a national ad campaign, or are we not there yet? And no, we're not there yet because George and I are traveling around Colorado in an old camper van, beating the bushes for support. And Move to Amend is like 100% supported by our members and supporters. We don't have any big money behind us, and those national ad campaigns, they cost some money. So we're just trying to buy money right now so we can buy Google ads and get our videos done, with a professional air, and get some good PSAs out there. So if you're interested in seeing us get some more advertising out there, don't be afraid to click the donate button.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really know this because, we have a pretty good looking website. We've done a lot of work in the last several years. We are big. We have grown. I mean, we started as 10 people in a living room, and now we're 430,000+ people strong. So that's a ton of work and a ton of momentum, and that's all very real. And at the same time, our office is in a house here in Sacramento. We have a team of 9 people who are on staff, and we are grassroots as they come. And so we pride ourselves on being able to make it look like we're a multi-million-dollar operation, but we're not a multi-million-dollar operation. If we got multiple millions of dollars from grassroots supporters, we would put that money to good use, and we would, exponentially be even further along than we are now. So it's not our intention to stay small, but the reality is that for a group that is doing something as systemic and cutting edge as we are, we don't get a lot of mainstream attention and support. And so we've made it happen on what we have available to us, which is, tens of thousands of dollars, not millions. So your donation to Move to Amend goes further than probably just about any other organization that you could contribute to, because we squeeze the last penny out of every single dollar that we get. we maximize it in ways that you wouldn't believe. Looks like we got another question from Gary. When is the Florida Barnstorming tour? We're looking at that probably in November or December. So it's a ways away, but that's what our folks on the ground have asked us for. So it'll be in the early winter, which is a good time to be in Florida versus some of the other places in the country where you can't travel at that time. So oftentimes we do Florida in either January or December. So that's probably what we're looking at this time too. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any more. Are there any more, Keon?
What can I do to get to do?
Oh, he's posting it. He was going to tell me it, but he didn't. Keep typing them if you want. We'll stay here as long as you have questions. But we'll also let you go if everyone has gotten your questions answered. Is there one more that I should wait for? What can I do for this movement? There isn't a group in the area that I know of. Laura, you want to start with this one? What should somebody do?
You are, but you can contact us at info@movetoamend.org, and we will attempt to hook you up with other people in your area that are already on our email list. If you would like to find out more about how to start an affiliate, same email address, and we'll help you with all of that kind of thing. And that's, again, info@movetoamend.org. Keon will post up that email address.
Yeah, we have so many different ways that folks can come in. I mean, the main thing is to get a group going in your area. But if you're not quite ready for that, then potentially joining one of our campaigns. So the We the People Listen campaign that we mentioned earlier, you don't have to have a group to get connected with that, or you can use that campaign as a hook and an activity to do with a new group. Or pledge to amend. If you've got local elections going on in your community this year, then just linking in with that. You could even do that as an individual if you want. Like I said, we're going to be doing this webinar on May 10th about how to get your representative to co-sponsor our amendment in the Congress. So you could plug in with that. But if you look up further in the comments, movetoamend.org/start-group is the link to kind of get started with a group. And encourage you to also look at the map on our website. When you go to movetoamend.org, you can see Find Move to Amend near you. And if you click on that, you can see a map that includes all of our affiliate groups, so you can find out if there is a group near you, or maybe it's not in your town, but maybe a couple hours away, and just having a conversation with somebody to get you started. A lot of times our affiliates are really happy to travel to a neighboring community and talk with somebody to help them get started. Or you can also see other organizations that have endorsed Move to Amend, so you might be able to work with them in your community if there's one near you there. So all of those are things that you could do, or like Laura said, you could just contact our office, and then we can put you in touch with others in your area who have indicated interest. And actually, you can email us, but if you go to movetoamend.org/volunteer and fill out the form there, that lets us know a little bit about you, and then you'll actually get a follow-up phone call from somebody on our national team to have a conversation with you about what you'd like to do and how you'd like to plug in. So that is movetoamend.org/volunteer. And if you're not sure how to get started, then that's a great thing to just fill out that form and then wait for us to be in touch with you, which we will do within a week or two of your initial filling it out. So I think that I don't see any more questions, right, Keon? We're good? There is one more? Okay. How many more? Wait, there is one more question from Nancy asking how many more states we need.
About 48.
Yeah, so Nancy, the way that it works is there's two ways to amend the Constitution, right? There's Congress needs to pass a resolution or an amendment through 2/3 of both houses, so a supermajority of both houses, and then 3/4 of the states need to ratify it. Another way to amend the Constitution, which hasn't been done before, is to have 2/3 of the state legislatures call for a convention to propose an amendment to the Constitution, and then still 3/4 of the states need to ratify any amendment proposal proposed at a convention. So the question, how many more states do we need? Well, we actually need all of them, because where we are right now is we've got a few dozen co-sponsors in the House of Representatives. We don't have our amendment introduced yet in the Senate, so it needs to get introduced in the Senate. So contacting your senator and making sure that they know that they should become a lead champion. And then we need to have the states ratify. There are 17 states that have passed resolutions. Those are non-binding declarations of support for the amendment, calling on Congress to pass the amendment so that the states can ratify. So presumably those 17 states are going to ratify when it comes up, but some of them passed those resolutions, a couple of years ago. So by the time that Congress passes it, their state legislature might not be made up of the same folks. So you don't really start with the states for amending the Constitution. You've got to, pay attention to Congress, and you've got to be thinking about ratification. So we don't really measure it that way. And sometimes some groups sort of shorthand it and make it sound like, oh, we're almost there. We've got 17 states. But really it is a bigger lift than that. And we need to have kind of both happening simultaneously. But if your state is not one of the states that has passed a resolution, that certainly is an activity that you could engage with trying to get done through your state legislature, because once they're on the hook as saying we want to see an amendment, then that's a great tool that we can use to go back when it comes time for ratification to say, okay, you already said, maybe it wasn't you in that seat, but your predecessors made clear and we supported that. And so now it's time for you to come through. So really what needs to happen is a movement needs to be built. And it's not going to be so much like tick marking the numbers like that. It's going to be about how many people do we have involved, how many organizations do we have committed, how many people are willing to vote on this issue and say, I won't support anybody running for Congress or state representative who doesn't support this issue. And so that's all the work and the momentum that we're building right now. Anything to add, Laura, before we close out?
I have nothing to add except to thank Keon, who's off screen and helping support us in this effort to answer your questions. So thanks, Keon. And
Yeah,
thanks, Caitlin.
absolutely.
And
Thank
everybody
you.
for tuning in.
Yep. Great to get your questions. Thanks for being here. This was a longer conversation than we've had before because of your great questions. So thank you for participating in the conversation. If you have any additional questions that weren't answered in this report, you can always reach out to us at our national office, which is in Sacramento. If you go to movetoamend.org/contact, that is a good way to just put in your question and we'll make sure that it gets answered. Or you can always give us a call, 916-318-8040. We are real people who answer the phone and respond to every inquiry that we get. Sometimes it might take us a minute, but we do, and we'd love to hear from you. So if you're not sure how to plug in, then let us know that you're not sure and we'll iron it out and make it happen. We'll be back here again next month on the 4th Wednesday, which, I don't have a calendar in front of me. We need to remember to put this in the bottom. Anybody know?
I can get that. That is May 23rd.
All right, May 23rd. So we'll be back here on May 23rd. And I know that Laura and George have been doing some live streaming from your events and stuff like that. So keep on coming back to movetoamend.org, or I'm sorry, Move to Amend's Facebook page. And you can find more live streams whenever we're out doing events and stuff like that, and the latest news. So movetoamend.org or Move to Amend's Facebook page is the place to go. Did she say the wrong thing? Oh, it's actually May 24th. Mark your calendar, May 24th. That's okay. That's okay. All right, Laura. Yeah, good luck with the rest of the tour. Say hi to George.
Will do.
Okay, good night, everybody. Bye-bye.